Thank you, everyone. It's so wonderful to see familiar names, and I will joke, and familiar boxes as we have been on this journey together today. And thank you all for your time. We wanted to provide an opportunity for us to come together and close out this day by giving all of us a voice and an opportunity to share your insights, your ahas, and the questions that are still lingering. I think it has been mentioned a few times today that there is going to be a summer education summit, which I know I am really looking forward to. And we want to also use this session as an opportunity to give as a springboard to provide some ideas that would what you'd like to see discussed, implemented, what would you like to learn while we're in that space this summer. So as we begin here, you'll see that there is a scan code that you're welcome to scan on any device, as well as in the chat, there's going to be a link to a Wakelet page. And in fact, I'll exit out here just to show you what that's going to look like here for you. And on this page, this is just for you to have as a reference after today's session as we close out all the tools, the slides, and I've added a couple resources, additional resources here that you might want to have access to after today's session. For now, I'm going to head on back to the slides. Here are the slides here on our Wakelet page. That I will say this, this session is more, we hope to hear your voice. Please feel free to utilize the chat. And, so as we saw the day in terms of the participation meter, this is probably about halfway on that meter to give you a sense of the next 45 minutes or so. Excellent. Okay, so this is just provide us a sense of where we all are today. And again, I'm aware that many of us have varying tools and abilities in terms of where we are in terms of our skill sets and what we have in front of us in terms of access to technology in front of us at this very moment. I'd love just to get a sense of where we are all coming from today. So if in the chat, you could, if you'd like, you can add your name, whoops, and where you're coming from. Whoops. Of course, we're going to have a little, there we, oh no, there we go. Here we go. And then if you would like, if you have access to the annotate tool in Zoom, in the annotate tool, there is a, if you click on that on your bottom toolbar, there is a stamp button. That stamp button will give you a choice of a heart, a star, a check mark. I'd like for you to use a heart today if you feel so inclined, and you can place that heart on where are you today? And you can see your name will come up, and this will just give us a sense of where folks are coming from all over the world, all over the world. And that to me is something that I find humbling and awesome about the space that's been created today and the conversations we're having in relation to academic integrity, because there is interest about this topic on a global scale. So here you can see where we are right now here in the US. And then of course, in the chat, we can see where folks are coming from all over the world, all over the United States, all over the Western part of the world. This is great to see. And hey, Kara, you can place as many hearts. You know what? Home is where we make it. You know, I live in northern Utah, but I grew up in Washington, D.C., and I got to tell you, my heart is forever there. So wherever you want to put your heart, you can do that today. And this is wonderful for us to get a sense. And if you'd like to use other annotation tools as well, you're welcome to get a sense as folks are kind of figuring out right now just how to use that. I love this. Make this your own. And again, just give us a sense of the community that's been created today, the community of individuals that are interested in this conversation and interested in education, right? And to me, that's really powerful. And on a bigger scale, we're talking about integrity, which I know has been on my mind in terms of just character development But in our work as faculty, as educators, whatever we're doing, we want to be aware of how integrity impacts our work and our future. Fantastic. So I love this, and I love seeing all of these hearts wherever we may be. And again, just to see where folks are here coming from on a global scale. Oh, and then I will go ahead and I'm going to take my annotate off. I'm also going to clear that will just, and I know your hearts are forever in my heart, but in order to move on so these hearts don't remain on my slide, I'm going to clear them off, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so as we continue to think about the day that we've had, the conversations that we've had in relation to academic integrity, I want you to think about this question to give us some purpose into this time that we've gotten 45 minutes, but the purpose in what we've done here today. So let's begin with just this question and throw this into the chat. What is one thing life is teaching you right now? What is one thing that life is teaching you right now? Let's take a look at these. We can see them as they're coming in. Parenting is hard. I know, I was just saying that. I've got 2 teenagers, and I thought when they were like 2, when I was teaching them how to use the bathroom, that was hard. But man, I controlled their life then, Now they're driving. It's a whole different world. How to live a quieter life. Count my blessings. I have a limit to how much information I can absorb. Again, these are life lessons what is life teaching us right now? Live your values, to trust my instincts. There's so much to learn. Heavens to bets. I just turned 50. I know some of you are like, oh, okay, baby. But for me, this was a big monumental year, because I'm like, when am I going to stop making mistakes? And my mom, who is 75, you'll never stop, right? The renewal comes at all stages. To be a good teacher. These are excellent. Life is short. Right? Set boundaries and hold them. Resilience. These are fantastic. And the reason why I asked this question, and I even have this graphic here on the screen about blooming, it's because for me today, these conversations have been about a blooming about assessment, about how I think about my students, their character, their integrity, the role that I play in shaping that by the assessments that I create and deliver in the classes that I teach. And so how are we helping our students bloom? How are we helping them think about and embrace what is life teaching me right now, instead of wanting to cheat and just get this done as soon as possible, right? And I love this, Leslie's comment in here, right? A colleague used to work in retail told me, boss, that 10% of your customers will steal from you no matter what you do. But it's the 10% will never steal from you no matter what you do. It's the 80%, right? If you make it too easy. So don't make it too easy. And I like that. Well, and I have an 80-20 principle, which is a little bit different than this, is I believe 80% really is good, is the good. 80% of our students really want to do good work, right? It's the 20%. But the 20% take 80% of our time. So it's just, we have to think deeply about that. Lots of us are late bloomers. Well said. I like that. Oh, looks, I'm going to keep my hearts on there. It's kind of nice. So today, my hope is, and I'm hoping all of you felt this too, and why we're in this closing session, is that we're thinking about forward thinking together. And we've had some difficult conversations, some powerful conversations. I know I've been taking all kinds of notes on Post-it notes to help me think about planning for the future. So how can we be responsive to what happens now in the fall and in education in general, right? And we do that by forward thinking together. And our hope is that even these conversations that Course Hero has created for us today, we can continue as we move forward. So let's just take a few minutes, and I'd love, you're welcome to unmute, raise your hand if you have that tool in Zoom. You're welcome, or your real hand if you want to turn your picture on. Feel free to use the chat. Let's just take some time here and recap and review from today, from who's passing, who's failing. And, you know, for me, I thought about, I do a lot of social justice work. And so I think deeply about binaries and how we create binaries. And often the binaries that we create set us up for failure. So even this question of who's passing and who's failing, it's not one or the other. It's a spectrum. And that's one of the things that I'm walking away with today. And so I'd like to ask you, what stuck with you about academic integrity? What questions do you still have? So for me, what stuck with me was we're moving from assignment factories to active learners. I love that from the Lit Review. And then I thought too, just this big question of what I'm left with is, well, how do we define cheating? Because how I define cheating from when I was a student is very different than how our students define cheating. So those are mine. I'm going to feel free. I'm going to, I see Leslie's got her hand up. Go ahead, Leslie, please.
Thanks. I just wanted to say that I think the biggest thing that I am taking away from this, talking about spectrums, is that I am on a spectrum. I am on a learning spectrum of appreciating what it means to address academic integrity, to promote academic integrity, and to, I hate to use the word enforce, but for in the interest of time, I'll just use that, to enforce academic integrity. And so that learning spectrum for me, you know, I started with several years ago with, you know, they're all going to cheat. There's nothing I can do. And I'm going to try to nail it down. And I'm going to do all these things to sort of make it so they can't. And then of course they still can. And I've had to evolve, and coming to a thing like this, where everybody here is probably in a different place in their own journey about learning what academic integrity is, first of all, to them and to their students, has just helped me recenter and sort of reevaluate where I am, and recognize that it is a journey, and that I'm at a place on that journey. It is a spectrum, and that with any luck, I'll never stop learning.
Well said, Leslie. I've been catching myself sometimes where I'll say something or I'll think something, I'll read it, get an assignment, and then I have to just pause and think and take a step back. Great. Any other comments that folks would like to share? I see the chat too, which is fantastic. I just want to provide space for folks' voices. Oh, Kara, please go ahead.
I will share something I said, which probably didn't work out for me in the long run. But when I was teaching at a university, the average age of my colleagues was 75. And I'm older than I look, but I certainly wasn't in that age bracket. And we were having this conversation about students cheating. And I said, you know, student cheating is really a 19th century idea. And he just looked at me and I was like, okay, I'm gonna hang up the phone now. But it was, I mean, they viewed students as trying to, you know, get away with something. And I was like, but aren't we supposed to be promoting their learning rather than positioning ourselves in opposition to them? And they just looked at me like I was really weird, which is fine. I don't care that. But you know, hearing this all the time, like we have to stop students from, that's so anathema to the way I think of students and I think of learners. And so I think somebody put in there, we need to, you know, we should stop thinking in binary. And you said that, and absolutely. I mean, the more we can break down these sort of the false dichotomies, then there's more space for everybody. So I'm really appreciative of this conversation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kara. A friend of mine shared a meme the other day that said, our 21st century students are being taught by 20th teachers that were taught in the 20th century, and we're teaching with 19th century methodology, right? Mm. And it was like which we know, and so much of that really even are the discipline that's embedded in what we do is so built on those industrialized systems.
So, if I can speak for Course Hero team, I was one of the people to introduce the day this morning, and our intention was really to have, we said it really in the title of the day. We wanted to have an honest conversation, and to tell you the truth, we were prepared for anything. The honest conversation could have gone in a lot of different directions, and we know that we're often potentially seen as part of the problem, and we were braced for anything goes. And I will say from my personal experience all day today, we know people had strong opinions. It was really heartening to see that even with a difference of opinion and different points of view, there is a tremendous commitment to students. And what we really saw all the way across the board is that we all understand that we're on the precipice of major change. We are all looking for ways to use the technology that we've been driven to in positive ways. And as technology providers, we really value this kind of a conversation because we do know that everything is in flux. Everything, as you said, Kara, is a work in progress. Every one of us is a work in progress. And, it's just been a really moving day in so many ways. I think, Sarah Goldrick Robb set really a tone of tough love, really for ourselves and what we do, that recognizing the whole student and understanding that a student's life is part of the academic challenge. You can't separate the academics from life. It really all is the whole thing. And we all have a responsibility to have empathy for our students. And by the way, as a community, I think we have a real responsibility to have empathy for one another. And I think we very much got a sense of that out of the day today. In the opening debate, Danny made that really clear, his own personal stories and being as vulnerable as he was, even his experience as a student. And, expectations and grades were not an indication really of what someone's actual potential was. So, there are a lot of those kinds of moments of vulnerability, a lot of great moments of laughter and even friendship. I think the people on the debate this morning are going to end up being friends for a long time. And I could see those kinds of connections being made throughout the day. I mean, Kelly Pope did an amazing job. I want her to moderate any public forum I ever have ahead of me. Giannina had so many great ideas. I love the idea that how students learn is as important as what they learn. And I really love what Jesse said, 2 words that I actually posted it, trust scales. And, for us, we put a lot of trust in putting our best foot forward. We really want to just to convene a conversation. We don't believe that we are the leaders in this point of view. We want to learn from listening to you. And I think, I speak for the rest of the team, and I hope everybody else on the Course Hero team, jumps in and gives us all a sense of, what we hope to get out of it, what we thought we got out of it, and specific moments that were really memorable. Those were some for me, and love for everybody to share that if anybody else has a moment or a quote or something that meant something to them.
Can I just read what I wrote in the chat just now? Because it's been a bit of a, well, I'll just read it. You can take from what we want. I have a sense of energy after today that I have missed after only attending virtual workshops for the past year. I've only ever had this after in-person conferences. You should bottle whatever magic it is you applied to make that happen. I've actually really enjoyed this today. You get to the end of an in-person conference, it's usually 4 or 5 days, and you're so full of ideas, and experience now tells me there's no way in heck that I'm going to be able to apply any more than about 1% of those. You want to take them all home and put them all into practice. No, that's not going to happen. But there's an excitement and an energy and a networking and a group think that goes with that I just have not experienced for a year, and I've really missed it. And wow. I have something of that today that I have not had. It's been great. So thank you very much.
I think Alex is going to start weeping in a minute.
Oh. Thank you, Leslie, so much. And I see Sean, I see a hand is up from Sean. Leslie, thank you for sharing. And during COVID, I've started listening to K-pop. So there you go. I'm giving you a little heart. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Hi, great conversations throughout the day. Really got a lot from everything. And I just wanted to share that, when it comes to cheating, the emotional part of it is that I'm nervous when I'm going to confront a student about cheating, and having that conversation is not an easy conversation. It isn't fun for me to engage a conversation that I know is going to make someone uncomfortable or just includes discomfort, whether I'm making anybody feel it or not. And that makes me hesitant. And often also the conversations happen at the most difficult times of a semester for me, either at the midterm point or the end when things are already tense about other things and graduations might be on the line. So these emotions that just are there when the confrontation question comes up remind me of how emotionally fraught these kinds of conversations can be. And last thing I'll say is just how, I don't think I've taken a class on how to talk to someone about cheating. That wasn't in any of my ed classes or in my, master's, so just knowing that we're learning the training and not that experience at those conversations is something important for us to remember. We're new to it. And we're not new to a lot of the other things that we're teaching. So those are things going through my mind.
Thank you so much, Sean. Anybody else want to jump in?
I used to teach high school, so I've got a high school certificate. Well, it's used to high school certification. And I got to say, I never learned it there either, Sean. It's not something we talk about, and I think we need to. It's a really good point.
I just made myself a note for the summit. Maybe we do a session on role play, and I say that candidly, but like in a spirit of how do we have these conversations? And we have them enough that we know that they wouldn't be contrived, but provide us the opportunity to practice, and all different kinds of conversations, things that you would never think that a student might approach you with, or that really is linked to character. So excellent. Any other, as Harriet was mentioning, any other snippets, things that really stuck with you from today, that really resonated with you that folks would like to share out?
Are there any, as you've gone through the day today, are there topics or things that we should consider as we're thinking about the framework for the summit? Are there sessions and topics that you guys think would be valuable along these lines or other lines?
One of the things I would say is some of us haven't been trained in education. We were put in education, and I had as a child wanted to teach, so that's not that far flung, but that's a new area to me. So as someone who didn't even dream of cheating, though I have a brother who did in grade school, hence he didn't learn anything the first 4 years, but we straightened him out 5th grade, 6th grade. I don't even think like somebody who wants to grab a test, grab the answers, and just make sure if you were wrong so the teacher doesn't get suspicious. So I am trying to find how can I promote academic integrity among the students, because it hurt me very deeply to hear that a lot of them did not do well last semester after having taken my course as a prereq for nursing school. And some of them admitted to cheating. I don't know exactly how many. I heard some names, but they weren't the ones that were always asking me for help. And I always tell them, I want to help you. I want you to be successful. That's why I'm here. And they were the ones who weren't asking for help. So how do I go about that as somebody who has not been brought up in the education? As Sean said, you're not taught some of these things, like how to approach somebody about cheating. I don't even know how to detect cheating, I guess, because I had no clue until 2 weeks ago they were doing that. So.
Thank you, Jenny. Sophia.
Yes, hi. I was just, thinking about everything today, and great sessions and wonderful information. And I'm just thinking about the whole idea behind one of the sessions we talked about the academic integrity and who is responsible for that, or, how do we hold people accountable to this academic integrity, the whole definition behind it. But then I was also thinking about when you working with trying to get everyone on board and the buy-in from other faculty members about this discussion around academic integrity and, cheating and holding students accountable. And then that thought process of hearing discussion about academic freedom, right? So faculty want to talk about, I have the freedom to do this. I should be able to do that. And just, how are we going to get this conversation around, yes, you may have academic freedom, but it's still about the student and trying to find that middle ground, and the academic integrity being, everyone's business and concern, and we should all be on board. So just trying to see, how do you get that message across, and, different ways to get everybody on board and the buy-in about the academic integrity from everyone's level, and how it's everyone's, it should be part of everyone's conversation and or concern.
Mm. Thank you, Sophia. Because it's culture, right? It's the culture that's created around those issues. Excellent. Thank you. Oliver, I see your hands up.
Yeah, as I brought up in one of our groups on this topic of academic integrity, I'm wondering, in the larger sense, I have a sense that integrity in the global sense, not just in where we're teaching, but in the total society, not just in the world, but for sure in America, where integrity is the horse that has escaped from the barn. How do we reverse the tide that has picked up really a lot of full steam? That's where I'm coming from. I'm willing to do what I do. I don't call it academic integrity, but ethical practices, behavior. But I'm wondering about that, because it has taken over in many.
Yeah, that came up in a number of conversations. That definitely came up across the day.
Mm-hmm. And I see Sean's comment, include integrity as a learning objective and include exercise that value that, right? So being really, my 3 words that I love are deliberate, strategic, and purposeful, right? That we have, and if we want things to happen, we have to be deliberate, strategic, and purposeful in making those things happen. So we just have a little bit of time left, and I want you all to continue to please think about the ideas that you'd like to see discussed this summer. Because that's what we're going to focus on. This is the now what. So I have a big background in experiential learning. I spent many years working for Outward Bound as an Outward Bound instructor. So I come to my work now bringing some of that. And this is a theory or a model that we use in that work. And it's really, I felt like I've been on an Outward Bound expedition this last year. I don't know about many of you, if you've done anything that's, I'm sure we've all had our challenges, and you can relate to that. So the what was the pandemic. Okay, we were there. Okay, the so what is what we've been doing this last year. Like, okay, so what? What do we do with this? And now we're here. We're in the now what. And I love that paradigm to be in, because it's an action place to be. It's a place of hope, and it's a place of change, right? So thinking about now what? So what is possible? What actions make sense? And so as we continue to move forward, these are some questions that we can ask ourselves. What do I need to do to stop being stuck, to better improve? What can I do with my colleagues? What broader issues need to be considered for this action to actually be successful? What risk mitigation might be necessary? And that's significant for us to think about as we're coming out of this time period. So I want you to think about these questions as you're thinking about what do you see yourself needing in terms of your own develop. Oh my gosh, it has been a long day. You could tell I'm low on caffeine, so you all are getting slide dizzy. So as we're coming out of that, and you're thinking about what do you want to learn. What can Course Hero provide? What kind of development do you need? I want you to ask yourself, do you know your why? When we know our why, we can have more impact. So as we're coming out into this now what, and you're asking yourself that big question of now what is my why what do I want to do? What have I learned over the last year? And what support systems and tools and resources do I need in order to make those things happen? And today, even all of the conversations that we've had regarding assessment and integrity and how we're supporting our students, I know for me, I felt like sometimes as a faculty this past year, a faculty member, I felt like I've been in a silo in my own house, right? I've got my my tools, my little laptop, but really I know that the strength of the conversations, and if we want to, and what we want to see happening in terms of academic integrity and assessment, authentic assessment, those are conversations that and change happens from unity, that from what we do together, and even the conversations that were created today. We can see that happen, that vision is greater when we do that as one. So what I'd like to do before we give Course Hero back to space to wrap this up formally is I want to ask you this. Okay, what is the now what, right? What do you need for your now what? So there's a scan code that you can use here, as well as in our Wakelet page. If you want to click on this Mentimeter, we're going to use this as a tool today. And I'm going to go ahead and let me get this started. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to ask you to, what do you need? What is your now what? And if, let's see, Chris or Irene, if you wouldn't mind throwing that chat or the link to that in the chat, just in case if folks need that direct link. So I'm going to put that scan code back on there if folks would like that. You can easily access that from your phone or any other device. But this will be great feedback for us in terms of what are we feeling like a collective community, but also for Course Hero as they're working to really shape the summit this summer. And what do we need in order to show up in the fall and meet the opportunities and the expectations of our students? So I think about that often. Maybe it's tools, resources, and supports. It could be community connections. What about research and current trends? Great. Thank you, Chris, for throwing that link into the chat there. So great. We can see what's happening right now in terms of what folks are saying that they need. And this is really powerful for us, even as we're coming out of today. These honest conversations that we've had around, and I don't know about all of you, but I went back to my cheating past and I started thinking about when I cheated, why I cheated, how I cheated. I'll never forget the time I cheated in 8th grade and I got caught. I had my little notes underneath my desk. My dad was an elementary school principal. He got a phone call from the science teacher where that was not good. And then I'll remember in college, my sorority giant file cabinet, opening that thing up and pulling out tests. I thought it was the gold mine. And now to be on this side, it's been a fascinating ride and one that is pushing me too. So great, you can see what are folks looking for. So what do you need? What's the now what as you're moving into the fall? And you can see folks, and feel free if you'd like, you can be even more specific if you'd like with what would you like from Course Hero? If you could see a workshop or something that you'd like to see on the summit, what would that be? You can write a phrase into that Mentimeter. That'll provide us some guidance and some insight in terms of what are you looking for, so we can meet your needs. So we can see here, folks are still looking. We get authentic assessment ideas. Definitely looking at ideas on how we can create, and I think this is powerful, even based on what we've seen today. People want to create community. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's even a big part of what we're looking for. Encouragement, training, how do we build student participation? How are we making sense of artificial intelligence and public health? How is that impacting our work? What kind of institutional support do we need? These are excellent. Light boards. Yeah, I see kindness on there. And maybe we do need more recipes. I'll take that. But you can see here what is really coming up as folks are writing that in. And if you have something that you feel is more specific that you would like for the Course Hero team to hear, feel free to write that into the chat. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep this up as folks are going to continue to type in. And Harriet, I'm going to turn it over to you for closing
Thank
words.
you.
And I just want to thank everybody again.
Thank you so much. You really just did a wonderful job throughout the day. I've been in and out of a number of sessions where you've been speaking, and thank you for all of your energy and your insights and your leadership. Really, we appreciate it. And you know, I think I've said just about everything that we could say. There were a lot of really great specific ideas. From Flipgrid came up in the chat. There were, you know, big picture ideas, philosophical ideas, really specific tactical ideas. And, you know, I think we've just begun to touch, you know, the tip of the iceberg on, you know, an issue that is, you know, for decades, all the literature review that we've seen, you know, people go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And what our real goal is, and the blooming of the flower is a great image, is to open up kind of a new level of dialogue, a new level of creativity, a new level of honesty and collaboration, so that we can be true partners with you guys, and you can be partners with each other, and we can facilitate that to deal with difficult issues like academic integrity and cheating, find solutions, elevate the conversation, elevate what we try to do in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And we just want to be part of the conversation and do our best to help you, help students, with the goal of them all graduating confident and prepared, because we're in it for them. And we thank you very, very much for your heart and your thoughts and your commitment and all your talent. Thank you for a really, really, really great day.
Thank you. Harry, can I add something for a moment?
Please.
I wanted to share that in addition to what Harriet said, I want to introduce a couple of people to you again. You know, we think of these events as ways for us to build new relationships, partner with educators, stay connected with educators, but this is not the only way. Just remain connected with us. So there are a few people I'd love to sort of bring on stage so that you can continue this conversation, ideas that you have. If you're thinking about exploring Course Hero, who you can reach out to, who can help you understand what we're doing with students, with faculty. So Chris Guyal is a lead educator partner, partnership manager on our team. He'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Talk to you over the phone. Mary Moore is a partnerships manager, and she would be happy to do the same. Alex Maxwell, she is leads a charge on working with all of our speakers. So if you have recommendations for speakers, if you would like to know how we can bring someone, if you would like to speak, nominate students, please reach out to her. And then Irina, who works on making sure all of these things run exceptionally smoothly through the day. So they're dropping their emails in the chat right now. You can email any person individually, or we have a catch-all email address, educators@coursehero.com. But we would love to stay in touch with you. This is the start of a year. It's the start of a new year. And we believe that there's a lot that we were able to do together last year, and we want to continue to do in 2021. So thanks. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, really, to the educator team, all of you guys, Deeksha, Chris, Mary, Irina, Alex, great job. And thank you, all the people who have joined us all day. A really, really, really gratifying day and educational day. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful as always. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, I forgot Irene Sorial, if she's here, please say hi. She takes
Irene.
care of a lot of the back end things for educators. So there is a strong team here to support all of you through the year.
Thank you for everything, you guys. Have a great weekend.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Harriet. Course Hero, thank you so much, as always, and to everyone for taking time out of your life and for sharing your, as I've been saying, sharing your hearts and minds. It is a wonderful thing. It is a wonderful thing. Well, we'll connect, I'm sure. You all have a wonderful weekend. I think it's been a very fantastic, just a fruitful, very fruitful and productive day.